The basics of crossovers. Oh my gosh, right? How much fun is this going to be? A crossover is not a stopping point. It is a level reduction at a certain frequency point. Now this is important to think about here for a minute, because a lot of people, when you say crossover and you say I'm going to cross over 80 hertz, they automatically think that it stops. It's a wall. Nothing is going to happen. You can't go past that. That is the furthest from the truth. And that's why we're doing this, because that question comes up a lot, and we want to make you wrap your head around this. So let's all sit back and relax and enjoy the basic sound graph. This sound graph is showing us on the left-hand side, we see 0, 6, 12, 18, and 24 dB. That is a negative, so that is your dB level. And across the bottom, we have our frequencies. And this is an octave frequency chart, which we'll explain in a minute. Okay, keep going here. A high-pass filter reduces the level of low frequency. So what we're trying to do here is that we know that this smaller speaker can't reproduce big bass. So we need to reduce that, but we don't need it to not produce bass. We just need it to not reproduce bass at the intensity of a subwoofer. So a crossover is designed to do that. So in this case, this is purely hypothetical. You'd never cross it over at 500 hertz. But we have a crossover at 500 hertz, and then it will slowly slope down and reduce the volume as we go. Just work with me here for a minute. Low pass filter reduces the level of reduces the level of high frequency. So it does the opposite thing. So a low pass filter is going to reduce the amount of high frequency coming to that. So for example, we don't need our subwoofer to reproduce and burn and create all that heat trying to reproduce a high frequency. Not necessarily a tweeter frequency, because it would never do that, because there are such things as natural roll-off points, meaning the speaker can only produce sound up to a certain point, and then it's just going to gradually stop doing that. It's a natural crossover, and there are certain manufacturers that actually will use these natural crossover points when designing their speakers in order to get, one, make the crossover smaller, and two, save money. So prime example of that would have been Kenwood's did that with their HD speakers, the gold ones that looked gorgeous and whatnot. They just designed the speakers to use natural crossover points and reduce the amount of passive caps and coils they had to put into it so that the speaker could be more efficient. You wouldn't need a ton of power. A bandpass filter reduces the level of both low and high frequencies. You would use this when you're doing a mid-range, but believe it or not, every speaker has a bandpass crossover on it. Some of them are done through caps and coils, and some of them are done through that natural roll-off. For example, a tweeter, you would put a high-pass crossover on it to roll it off at, let's say, 3200 hertz. It's not going to play up to infinity. It's eventually going to roll off and stop playing sound. That would be a bandpass. The subwoofer is going to do the same thing. However, most of the time on a subwoofer, you use a thing called a subsonic filter. That's just a really cool way of saying high-pass filter for your subwoofer, because that's what it is. It looks just like that. And then, of course, the most popular, the one that we can see and wrap our heads around, are the bandpass crossover. Now, a crossover has a slope. That is that angle down, and it's usually done in dBs per octave. So we have a 6, 12, 18, and 24 dB per octave in most head units. And as we said on the bottom, the frequency chart, those are octaves. What is an octave? An octave is a doubling or halving of a center frequency. So for example, 31.25 times 2 is 62.5. Times 2 is 125. Times 2 is 250, 500, 1,000. So you're doubling it every time you go up. And it works the opposite, of course. You have 5,000. I'm sorry, you have 4,000. It would be 2,000. Now these aren't static, meaning if you have 121, an octave up from that would be 242. It can shift. This is just static like this, just purely for this example. But this is how it works. Now, This is where the magic comes in. Crossover set to 125 hertz. Your slope, as we just said, is the down point. So the first blue line there is a 6 dB per octave slope. And an octave, as we said, is that 62.5 to 125. That width between those two is an octave. So we're going to take our center point there, which is 125, and we're going to go down 6 dBs between 125 and 62.5. So what does that mean for the sound? That means that when we're at 62.5, we've reduced the volume by -6 dBs, and that's all we've done. We haven't eliminated 62.5 hertz. We've just reduced that signal playback by 6 dB. So it will still play that. It's just not going to be as loud, which is good, because if you have a small driver, you want it to play those frequencies. You just don't need it to play it with the intensity of full volume. Now, if we cross it over at 12 dB, which is by far the most popular, most amplifiers are 12 dB, most passive crossovers are 12 dB. So the purple line, we start at 125 and we come down to 62.5, and that is our 12 dB slope. So we're still going to be playing all those frequencies, it's just going to be a little less loud. So at 62.5, we're -12 dBs of volume. That's a lot, but it's not in the sense that it's still going to play that frequency. It just doesn't need to play it as intently. 18 dB takes it down a little bit more, and then 24 dB is going to be your pretty much wall. You're going to be getting no 62.5. Now, the advantages of using it are pretty nice. Let's say you have a driver that doesn't have a deep cone. It's not going to play really deep bass. Well, we want to get as much sound out of it as we can. All right, so those skinny speakers, we want them to play bass or get as much mid bass as we can, but then we need it to stop because we don't want it to play anything else. 24 dB is very handy for that. As you can see, there's no sound at 62.5. Now, if we were to shift this scale over and cross it over at 80 at 24 dB, that's going to drop that thing. You can even, some of these will go all the way up to 48 dB. So as you can see, you can move that point, that center point over, and just have it wall off and reduce it. It'll still play some, but it's just not going to be as intense. Sorry. Let's see, is that the last slide? And that is the last slide in that. You excited?
Yes.
All right, so for those of you guys, we're not going to get in. We didn't want to. This was the basics. So this is just helping you understand what this looks like, because most of you guys automatically assume when you pick that frequency point, there's no sound playing after that, and your other speakers have to pick up at that point. So it's like if I have a high pass of 80, I need a low pass of 80. That's not necessarily true. You could have a low pass of 60. You're still going to hear those signals, or you might have a low pass of 80 and a high pass of 125, which is what we have here. As you can see, that sound is still there, and it'd be the opposite. So that 12 dB slope, you're still going to be hearing those frequencies between those two crossover points. They're still going to be there. They don't disappear. So take a sigh of relief. It's a wonderful day.